Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's TechCast, using animation in Oracle Analytics with Wayne Van Sluis. He's a lead consultant at Interrel Consulting. He's an Oracle ace, and you can see his how to contact him at the bottom. Hi, my name is Charlie Berger. I'm your host for today's Analytics and Data TechCast, which will begin immediately following a brief introduction that I'll go through, some housekeeping and some things like that. So by my background, I'm both an Oracle product manager for the Oracle Machine Learning, and I'm also involved with this Oracle users group. And I work with a lot of fine, excellent, smart people that come and share their talents and their expertise in these TechCasts. And we have a great one today that I'll get to introducing in just a minute. But before I turn over the stage or whatever, the microphone, I want to just call your attention to some upcoming ones. So April 23rd, in 2 weeks, we do these every 2 weeks at noontime Eastern time. We'll have Women in Oracle Technologies presented by Deborah Lilly. So she's going to have, it's going to be kind of like a Brady Bunch cast of characters all on the screen, all talking about women in technology topics and issues. And we've got some really good people, including Deborah Lilly, who's leading that whole thing. So please join us in 2 weeks. By the way, if you can't make any of these, including this one and next week, they are recorded. We put them out on the website where you found to get here, and we also put them out on YouTube so you can watch them on demand. After that, on May 7th, we'll have Jeff Smith from SQL Developer, also known as That Jeff Smith, and he will come in and talk about tips and tricks for data professionals. So after this TechCast is over, the information will all be posted, the slides, the recordings, and so on. And this forum is one that we found, I think, hopefully you're getting value out of, but it's very open. We want everyone to come in and participate. So please, if you're on this, if you're on the receiving end today, think about submitting an abstract, and how to submit the abstracts are on the website. But think about coming back and sharing something because we all use Oracle technologies in one way or the other, and we don't happen to know everything about those technologies. So I'm sure you know something that's cool and unique, or just some clever tricks or something that you can share with others. So please think about sharing your expertise and knowledge. With that, let's move on to today's topic. Wayne's going to talk about using animation in Oracle Analytics, and I've already given him a brief introduction. He's lead consultant at Interrel Consulting. He's Oracle ace and so on. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Wayne. Oh yeah, one last thing. If you have any questions, please submit them in the Q&A, not in the chat window, please. Just put them in the Q&A, and Wayne will take it from there. With that, Wayne, I'm going to go off camera and turn it over to you.
All right, Charlie, thank you very much. You have a great day. All right, folks, welcome. And we're going to be talking about a topic that I enjoy, which is data analytics and visualization. And in this case, we're going to be using animation. So let's have some fun here. And I'm going to be flying without a net later in the demo portion. And if I can get my mouse, there we go. That's who I am. I've been working in analytics since '98, and I am with Interrel now for almost over 6 years. I do have a blog that I've been slowly getting back into posting there, but there's some interesting thoughts. And I've been a conference speaker, so I hope that I may have met you, and if I haven't, and we meet up at another conference, please say hello. So we're going to be using some deep visualization extensions inside our projects today. So a little bit of where to get them. But first off, I think one thing that I'd like to just kind of throw out there for folks about animation, you need to go look at this Hans Rosling's 200 Years in 4 Minutes from BBC. It's out on YouTube. You can Google his name. It'll be quick and easy to find. But he uses a bubble chart, and he's looking at life expectancy and population and in the median gross income and over the 200 years. And it's a pretty fascinating video to watch. I'm not going to play it here. It's yours to go seek out, but the link is there. So to get to the analytics library and where the extensions are found is the URL right there. And I even made it smaller for you to find. But it's got quite a, I have it up. It's got quite a few extensions, and the three, I actually said two in the original abstract. Can't speak today, teeth are moving wrong. We have three that we're going to be looking at. One is the racing bar, which is one of the latest released by Oracle. And then we have a dimension player, And then the motion chart. Other people have been able to create some charts and some of these visualizations. I think what's happening is that they try them out. Oracle tries them out here and then decides if they're going to incorporate them into the install package or the default visualizations. But these are add-ons. These do not come with the product. And what you do is download them and then bring them into the console of your DV, whether it's the cloud or the desktop. And I'll show you where that's at. So one of the reasons we want to use animation is that we're trying to draw focus. We're trying to bring the person's eyes to somewhere happening on the screen on a particular metric or dimension. The other is that we might want to look at a transition. How is something moving from state A to state B? And the final would be more responsive. I click here, something else changes. So these all are what we would call a pre-attentive attribute, the idea that our eyes are attracted to motion. Pre-attentive attributes are things that our mind and eye are naturally going to focus on and look at, from differences, say size, shape, color, slope. But motion is probably one of our strongest pre-attentive attributes. Our mind and eye have been evolved over the years and millennia to focus on movement because we're naturally a hunter. We're looking for movement in the brush to go after something. Or someone's coming after us, so we're looking to make sure we can avoid. So that's why animation, I think, works well in visual analytics because it'll help us draw our attention to what we want our users or our viewer to see. So these links are going to be in the chat, but these are the data sets that I'll be using in the demos today. I'm going to be looking at world honey, or actually U.S. honey production from '98 to 2012. It's easy to use something that has a time variant, so we can look at it as it moves through time. Avocado prices, and then I am going to attempt to do a Hans Rosling chart using the fertility rates. Actually, I'm not using the fertility rates, but the fertility rate was an interesting set of data. The GDP, the life expectancy, and population. And that data came from the World Bank. So it is time. Let's have some fun. Let me switch out of that. Oh, we'll just show you that. So in the extensions, to load an extension or a plugin, you would have downloaded the zip file and then drag it into the console of your DV. So you would just drag it in here, and it would require either a restart of the desktop or a refresh of your browser. So let's get out of PowerPoint and bring in Data Viz. Here we go. So I'm on my home screen. For those of you in the cloud, it's pretty much the same. We would go to the hamburger stack, we would go to console, and go to extensions. And you can see that I've got quite a few extensions. And you might want to keep track of the dates on the extension library because sometimes people update the code a little bit. And all you would need to do is download the extension. See, I've got a whole bunch. And when you're installing an extension, you just click and drag it into the screen. And it's going to, this one I'm overriding. But that's how it gets loaded. And you can see it says it's been updated, and you just need to refresh. So, all right, let's get back to home. And we are in DV. So I've got my data sets I've already loaded, and I've massaged some of them. I had to do some wrangling with the World Bank data to get it to work. It came to me as columns of data by year on one metric, and I needed to pivot it so that the years were on rows instead of columns. And I wrote a little Jython program to do that. And then I just used a data flow to merge them all together. my data flow. And I started with the GDP, and I brought in fertility, and then I brought in life expectancy, and total population, and then the metadata that gives me my regions and income groupings. And I end up with a nice set of data. And all my columns, my years, my countries, my metrics, GDP, fertility, life expectancy, total population, region, and income group. And then I run that, and I got a new data set that's merging all three of these, or four of these metrics into one file. So let me go back out. So the World Bank data is a fun project to work in. And let's make sure if I've already got it open. We don't have to spend a lot of time. All right. So if we look at the prepare mode, we can see that there's some nulls in the data. And you can, depending on the viz, is going to treat it differently. The region is where we're going to be worrying about trying to get down to the country level rather than the geo regions. We're going to use the geo regions for color. And the income group I'm not going to work with in this demo today. So I've done some changing of properties to get the numbers and everything loaded up and the groupings. Let's go over to Viz. So in the world of the extensions, you can see the gray on the top here are all the standard. We move down, you can see all the ones that are slightly colored. Those are the custom ones, and these I've got them quite a few loaded up. Right? So the dimension player, the DIMM player, has an interface that looks like this. And what you're going to do is tell it what you're going to play on the axis. And in this case, I'm going to play the year. Right? And what you start with is you build the analysis before you put the DIMM player in. So we'll start with a fresh one. Right? So I want my population. We're going to do the scatter plot. And it's going to be a bubble scatter plot. Right. So my y-axis, just I'm going to cheat for a minute here. Life expectancy, my x-axis is GDP, and my bubble size is going to be my population. Right. So we'll go back to my data. Population is going to be size. GDP is going to be x-axis. Y-axis is life expectancy, and my category points, I'm going to use the region as a color, and my country name as the data point. So right now, you can see I've got the different regions, right? South Asia, Sahara Africa. What I want to do is I'm going to put inside, I'm going to create more bubbles, but they're going to be of light color based on their region. There we go. So this is at the total level, and it's actually running on an average. And I'm going to change that x-axis to be logarithmics because everything's kind of crunching off to the left side there. So let's get to our axes here, and my horizontal. And too bad my eyes aren't so good. Let's see if logarithmic is on. Perfect, there we go. Now we've got some spread. And what we want to do is bring in our DIMM player. So the DIMM player, again, custom viz. And we bring that in. Hello, DIMM player. And we tell it that we want it to play on the year. Right? Now it'll play, but it's not doing anything yet. Right? So I need to tell this year player to be a filter. So up here in the hamburger stack, we say use this filter. And now you can start to see, make everything move together here. If I play this, we should start to see come on, start moving. Now, I don't have year in here, so we got to put that in there. All right, so now that should play. We set you as a filter, yep. So now we should play. And you're not behaving. Okay, time to go back to plan B. So if we go to this one should be working. There we go. You can see how we're moving through time. We can start to see how it's shifting and how a certain population group and region is starting to move in terms of their GDP and their life expectancy. So this is the Oracle Analytics version of the Hans Rosling demo. His was 200 years. Ours is only about 50 years. So this is the DIMM Player. Now there's a motion chart, which is basically an existing scatter plot. All right. So if we come back to my Canvas 2, this is using the same data, and I'm not going to build it, but the motion chart is a scatter plot. And in this case, we take a look at some of the properties, because this is where things get crazy. If you set this down in the lower corner, my duration is 5 seconds. This chart's is going to animate in total of 5 seconds. So I'm going to make it a little bit longer so we can see how things move. I want to go to about we'll go 30. All right. So now we can play, and you can start to see. Now, everything is clustered on this left side because we had some nulls in the GDP. So that's one of the downfalls of these plugins, is that how's it going to handle nulls in the data? So again, two different charts doing the same thing. They handle the data a little bit differently. And we got animation. We can see how things are starting to move. And we can hover, right? So, World Bank. And we now have our version of Hans Rosling. Let's go take a look at avocados. I like avocados. It's you. So avocados, got some avocado prices off of Kaggle, quite a few years. And we talked about, we've got both drawing attention, kind of transitional, but we have responsive as well. And the closest thing I can show you from a responsive in a quick demo is basically using the brushing or using something as a filter, right? So I can use the pie chart to drive my lines, right? Maybe I want to focus on the big one. So there's my conventional avocados. Oh, let's look at organic avocados. And we can see the spread over years and which bags were selling more. Just the idea of showing you how responsive animation works, right? So we can draw our attention by using that as a filter. Now, there was line charts, okay? I can show cumulative production by state, right? Or consumption, or actually this is total volume sold by state, that's cumulative, or I can show it at over time what's going on. And what I like is racing bar charts, because these guys, we can see how things are shifting, which state, right? Back and forth. It's kind of light for me to see right now, but we can see cumulative on the left side, or we can see total by week. Now I've set this down to just 1 year's worth, right? One thing to be aware of is if you're using a date portion, in this case I just used the week, But in the data, look, the data for a week is typically, make a new one real quick. All right. So if I bring in the week, you can see that it's doing 2015 week 02. Well, that is managed by how I want to display the week. And that's down in the number formatting right here. And that's a custom format because normally it's the word week and the number and then the year. And if you're playing on a DIMM player, what's going to happen is it's going to do it in a sort order. And you may get, because it's going to alpha sort this instead of a date sort, you're going to get 02 for 2015, then 02 for 2016, then 17, then 18, and that screws up the DIMM player. So one thing to be aware of is the number format. If you're using custom on a date, to set it so that alphabetically it will sort properly. Okay. So in my racing bar charts, I'm using the weeks, and I can see, again, motion. It's drawing my attention. I can look at the top. I can see who is it that's outperforming everybody, or who outperformed the person for that, or the state for that week, or city for that week. And just a DIMM player, I can play through the weeks. Again, I can set that format. Remember, you want that format right. And then I can play the weeks. And this is the DIMM player. So what's neat about the DIMM player is you see those little arrows. Am I going up or am I going down? Did New York go up? Did New York go down from week to week? So that's motion. That's motion using the DIMM player and using racing bars and using the motion chart. So we had 3 different viz that we worked with. And the last one I want to look at is the honey production. I like honey too. Honey and avocados. Honey has really good antibiotic or antiviral capabilities and antibacterial capabilities. So let's look at my honey production project. Where'd you go? I had you earlier. Oh, poop. Well, we just got to create a new one. All right, let's go to our data set. Find our honey. There's my honey production. We're going to create a new project. And I tried to do this. It didn't work well. We'll see if it works now. So states are geotagged. It's in the data. I went in and said, hey, on my state column, treat as a geographic location. It's a neat little feature that's available in the latest. It says location details. Right? And so now anytime I use state in data, it's going to instantly go to a map. Right? And then I can use my year as a filter. 19. Right? And then I'm going to put in my total production as a color. Right? And now let's hope and pray that my DIMM player will work properly with this map. Bring in the DIMM player. I'm going to tell it to use as filter. Right? And we'll come back and get our data and bring that onto our play axes. And we have ourselves, hopefully, a playable map that we can watch to change got the wrong thing here. Let's get it out of here. All right, so let's see if the DIMM player is going to work. 88, come on. Oh, you dog. Worked earlier. We got you. That's wrong. Here we go. Now let's see if we can get this to work. 88. Well, there you go. Flying without a net. Live demos sometimes work and sometimes don't. I had this working before. I could loop through the states, the years on the states, and I could see how the production increased, total production. One thing to think about, if you're working with data that is time progression, and you maybe want to look at cumulative of something, like in this case, the cumulative total production, right? So,
Hey Wayne?
yes, sir.
We have a helpful comment from the audience here. Christian says, maybe it's because the year is an attribute and not a number. They are displaying at 1,988. Does that help?
No, it worked before.
Right.
It's going to sort alphabetically. In that case, it shouldn't matter. See, there it's an attribute, but it's treated as a number, right? I did have this working.
Okay. Well, while we got you on here, one of the other related questions is, what version of analytics are you demoing today?
This is the latest, so it'd be 5.5.
Okay.
And if you're on the cloud, you're always getting upgraded, so you would be on 5.5. 105.6 is coming out the first week of May, according to Rich Clayton. So let's take this guy out of the mix, delete the viz. And one thing to, again, if you're working with something that's cumulative in nature, you might, like total production, I want to see over years how much total I've produced. You may want to create what we call a cumulative or a running sum. So I'm going to right click and add a calc, and we're going to run ag and running sum. And here it's going to be total production. And we'll make state Let's see if you're going to behave now. No, you're not going to behave. So we're going to change you out. Well, I was attempting to make oh, there you go. Well, again, this did work. I had a project that I was working on earlier today, and like I said, flying without a net. This should work. This has worked on other viz. You saw that with the weeks. So let's just let's hang it up, and I'll have to come back and figure that one out. So again, pre-attentive attributes. Use the animation to draw the focus or show transitions, or allow you to be responsive by using the brushing and filtering. And go have some fun. I think you're going to enjoy it. It's not you don't use animation usually in the exploratory mode. You usually use it in the final explanatory mode of data in your viz. So think about it as a presentation portion. With that, we have any Q&A, Charlie?
Yeah, we do, and a number of different people have been trying to lend their suggestions. One guy here says the DIMM player is fixed at 1988. So, I think the same person says you need to change again because you had a filter on year. Mm-hmm. So maybe not. I'm just tossing those out there. And by the way, thank you so much for doing this live. This is what we all want to see is, you know, what works, what doesn't work, where you trip and stumble, where you don't. And if it's just totally canned, that's a little bit too artificial for us. So really appreciate the reality of this. Here's a question for you. If it's in the cloud, do you need to inform Oracle to install the extension for you, or is it something that I can do? What about support?
Extensions you do on your own. So I will bring up my cloud instance real quick and show you on it.
You're not showing anything different right now, are you?
Yeah, and I'm doing it on another screen, and then I will bring it in.
All right.
So here is my cloud instance. And if we come up here to the hamburger stack, and you can go to the console, and of course you see that this is cloud instance because we get all this other stuff. Up here in the visualizations and sharing is my extensions, and you would just drag them in or use the browser to find it. And
okay, excellent. Next question is something about download to both Mac OS and Windows version of DVD. So it works on both, I guess, the question.
yes.
Another question here is when you hover over a motion chart, it shows you the data at the point in time it's at, correct? Or does it show you the end result?
It should show you at the point in time because it's using the filter as well.
All right, another question. Can you color that by region so you can see where a region is moving?
So yes, that would, in this case, because I'm using the DIMM Player, you can. On the racing bar, it's pretty limited, so it doesn't give you much flexibility. The racing bar, if I had regions, I could do that, or not the DIMM Player. If I think, I don't know if I had in the avocado project, avocado. So here's the DIMM Player, and I've got that. What I could do is, in this case, I don't have region per se, but I do have type, right? And the type was organic versus conventional. I could do that in color.
There's another question here. Where is the link to find all these downloadable plugins? And it looks like Carrie has already put them in the chat window for you. So check on the chat window, I think is where I am seeing them now. Hopefully that's something you can see as well. If not, you can reach out to Wayne directly with his email and all that information. Let's see, going through these a little bit more.
You search, if you do a Google search on Oracle Analytics Library, that should get you there.
Okay, here's a fun question. Is there a way to capture the animation created by DV to repurpose for a video or a GIF?
That I don't know. I mean, other than using a screen recording software.
Camtasia or something, I suppose. But that's certainly a clever feature request. Here's another question. Great presentation. Is there a way to set the animation so the user can toggle through each change with a mouse click or action so they can pause it on each change?
No, but with if you're using the loop here, you can stop it. So you can see that it's week 13. Now we're week 3, 4. I can pause it there, right? So that's week 5. And I can start playing again. 6, 7, pause, right? So on the DIMM Player, we can pause on here when we're running racing bar. There's no pause.
Okay.
The one thing with the racing bar, which is neat, is here that you have the ability to use a top N. So it's always bringing in maybe the top 10 or the top 15. And what's my refresh cycle? How fast is it going to cycle?
All right. A couple more questions here. This one's a statement. It says administrators can only add plugins, not an end user, and install once, and then others can all share it. Does that validate that statement? Can you? I
believe that is a true statement. I'm an administrator, so I've never thought about it.
I think that's what I've heard myself. I defer to some other PMs I think are on the call. I've seen a few other names on there, so maybe they can chime in or state something here.
I would expect that to be true because the console should be limited only to the administrators.
One question, a couple more questions. Would you be willing to share your World Bank data set? I think you had links somewhere in there in your slides where you got the data from.
Yep, it's in the deck slides at the very end of the presentation. Also has it.
Okay, here's another one. Awesome session, Wayne. Does Oracle Analytics Desktop have any limitations compared to the cloud version with respect to the use of plugins?
No.
All right. And one last question here. Kenny from Kansas is asking, have you ever used predictions over time to display in your dashboards?
I have used predictions on data. That would be probably a different time for a different session, because that's using the machine learning or the advanced analytics components of DV that I have.
Cool.
And you can see them in here under advanced analytics. You've got the trends and reference and forecast.
Cool. Is that it? Are you wrapping up now?
I'm good to go. I think I showed everything I intended to show. Charlie, take it away.
Right. Thank you very much, Wayne. As usual, excellent presentation. You guys should know that we brought Wayne back. We asked him back due to popular demand. He draws a big crowd. Everyone has really enjoyed his sharing of his expertise. Thank you so much, Wayne. In 2 weeks, we will have Women in Oracle Technology, a panel discussion led by Deborah Lilly, and I think they're going to have some big names on that panel, so please join us there. And then following that is May 7th, we're going to have Jeff Smith, also known as That Jeff Smith, talking about SQL Developer for Data Professionals. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for your time. Please come back and watch the YouTube or the recording of this or the PowerPoints. They're all going to be shared on the website. Thank you all for attending, and everyone be safe. Take care.